Ahoy, mateys! 'Tis I, Captain Horatio Honeyflakes, and I be here to tell you about me newest crowdfunding campaign. The adventures continue with me crew, the Mighty Mascots, in issues 7, 8, and 9. Just focus your looking glass on the amazing artwork of Ian Warianto and Anton Bondi. Me crew, the Mighty Mascots, are up against some scurvy scallywags, and we need ye help to defeat them. There be a bounty of exclusive treasure, only available here, where X marks the spot. I spy a huge coffer of bonuses and stretch goals on the horizon. Then please consider pledging so we can continue these adventures with the weirdest crew I ever had the pleasure of sailing with. Mascots Unleashed!
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots. With me, as always, Johnny C., creator of Surrounded by Death and Sartana. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How was your week?
You know, it feels like a lifetime since the last show.
I can imagine. I can really imagine.
Yeah. It's been a craziness. For those that are just watching this for the first time or haven't tuned into the channel all this week, but I stepped away from Alterna's contract, a week and a half ago at this point, I think. It was just the right move for me. I talked to you a little bit about it, Johnny. It just things this year. It was the right moment to do it because right now I'm producing the new issues, and then if I stayed with Alterna, I would probably be locked in for like at least another year, maybe 2, because of how far his schedule is out. And it just seemed like this was the right time to just cut ties. Why I had nothing on their schedule. And if I talked about it a little more in depth on the video that I released on the channel earlier this week on Sunday. So if you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. But the bottom line is Mighty Mascots is going to continue. I am 110% dedicated to this book. It's my like I said in the video, it's probably the best book I've produced in my lifetime, as all the comics I've done. And
for sure.
Yeah.
I can even just tell as as your friend and stuff that I can see it's the one you're the most proud of, and
definitely.
I'm proud of you for doing it on your own terms and how professional you are in the process too.
Thanks, brother.
You know what I mean? You've been because it's sometimes it's tough to work with a publisher because you're doing it not only on your terms, but their terms as well. Yeah. So everything I've heard from you, you've always been communicative with them. You've always been proactive, and you left with what seems like no hard feelings. So, and that's a good thing too, is because, I would expect they would still respect you equally, just even though you're not working together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say that, although I've been mysteriously unfollowed on everything, social media. So I don't know how that's going, but maybe that's standard operating procedure. I don't know, but
maybe that's I don't know, some type of policy or internal thing.
Honestly, though, it doesn't bother me. It is what
nor should it.
Right, it is what it is. And I just want to just make, one of the people that commented and emailed me, our buddy Don Shin, he emailed me about it once. And he said something that was so right on the nose. He said, comics should be fun to make, not a burden. And that's kind of where my head was at with this, I felt like, I wasn't having fun with it, So I now that I'm away from, them and doing my own thing, I've been re-energized, basically. Let's just say that, so.
I think I'm going to say the most controversial thing out of all of this, and then maybe I'll put a sword in it, but I feel like anybody...
I'm worried. What are you
anybody that would unfriend you or unfollow you based upon a creative decision you made about your project doesn't sound like a comic fan. They sound like some group loyalist. You know what I mean? And then it may have not been about the comics for them at all. It may have just been pledging allegiance to the flag of whatever.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of that, but it's like I got to move forward, like
yep.
I have
on your terms.
Exactly. I got the books. I'm also should mention, like, we're full steam ahead with Plastic City Comic-Con.
Yep.
August 19th in the new location. I have so many tables I got to fill too, dude.
Well, you have more space now, technically, right? So
we went from one hockey rink with the little upstairs area to 5 basketball courts that I have to fill. So, so basically,
that's a lot.
It's a lot, but I've already just started. We've been taking in vendor applications. We got about 50 people signed up already. And then also some returning guests already that I can announce. Will Murray's coming back.
Oh, nice. Will's a great guy.
Yeah, I love Will. And he actually asked me before I could ask him, which a more of a compliment,
that's nice.
It was awesome. He's like, "You gonna invite me back?" that kind of thing. So, and then Joe St. Pierre's coming back, of course. And then,
we love Joe.
Rich Woodall, who didn't come back, who had something going on last year, he's coming back. And so
nice.
Joe Schmalke, they both confirmed. So
love those guys.
Coming. Yeah,
awesome creators. Yep.
And I'll definitely, ask the whole crew. I want Sean Wang, I want all those guys. I want Jason May, all those guys to come back as well.
Even if it's at a different venue, is it going to feel like a different kind of show?
I don't think so. I think we're approaching it like the normal all comics, low admission. We're still keeping the $10 to get in, which is huge. And it's basically going to be the same show in a better venue and bigger,
nice,
which is great. And we could grow here because there's even though I rented 5 basketball courts, there's another 5 right next to it. So
so you could really branch it out.
This could be a big deal. The only thing I was worried about, remember I talked to you or everybody on the show a few weeks ago about the parking thing. Like they might start charging parking, but
that's right.
They waived it this year. We'll see what happens. Like if everyone loves the spot and is not too affected by paying for parking, maybe we'll just stay there.
It's a
maybe we'll work something out. With them.
It's a testament to you as a con creator that the feedback from the audience and the vendors is actually genuinely a part of what you take into consideration for your show. Most other con promoters out there, at least the ones I know of, they don't care what the vendors, what everybody else thinks. It's just like it's their deal, right? You guys actually take that into consideration. I think that's one of the things that sets Plastic City apart from those other conventions out there.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, and that is definitely true. I'm looking at this because I want everybody to make money that does my show, So I think people are really happy with the new venue too. There's food there. There's, if you need a break, you can go in the arcade, play a little Halo or something.
That's awesome. Some Terminator 2, the arcade game.
So that's really fun. So, but we have a great show tonight. I didn't want to get too bogged down with everything going on, but we have a great guest too, which I'm eager to learn about this guy. But I also want to show the campaign still going strong. We're almost at $8,000, which is awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's moving a little bit, like even though all the craziness this last couple of weeks. So so I'm really, really excited,
Absolutely. I think that goes to show that the book in the series stands very well on its own, and you should be proud of it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I had a lot of nice compliments on the video too. People saying that they love the book, and one guy was even saying he was getting the book through his local comic store, but then when Alterna left Diamond, his comic store stopped getting the book. So he was like, "Oh, I hope you guys get back into the comic stores," So that was cool. That's
Nice.
That's sort of where my
That's
head
good
was
feedback
at.
to get too, though, right?
Yes, it is. It was very good. All the comments were very nice on the video, and I appreciate everybody's support and understanding, about everything. And like I said, the video, definitely keep checking out, the alternative books. Like there is some awesome guys producing great work over there, like Rob Geronimo, Brian Bogg, Fabrizio. They all have awesome books that are out. So definitely keep checking those guys out. Those guys are deserving of your hard-earned cash for your comics.
David Lucarelli.
Oh yeah, Dave Lucarelli. He's awesome dude. I don't think he has anything on the calendar though this year. Like he's been I talked to him a little bit. He's been doing his like Broadway play. Did you know he produced a off Broadway kind of
play? What?
Yeah,
that blows my mind.
Yeah,
is he actually in it or did he just produce it?
He just produced it. It's an unauthorized Motley Crue play, basically.
That's really cool.
Yeah, isn't that neat? Like he gave me a link where I could purchase and watch it. So I'm gonna probably do that soon. I think it was like $15, but I'd gladly support Dave. I don't care about that.
I've always wanted to do a stage play version of the movie Drive.
That'd be great, actually.
Technically, every scene in that movie, aside from the car chases, is usually 1 to 2 characters in a singleized location with a lot of dialogue back and forth. That's perfect for a play.
That's awesome. I was gonna say, so before we bring in our tonight's guests out, not a lot. We got about 10 to 12 people watching, but not a lot of people commenting though. And my wife, of course. Hi, folks. And then Roger, you are the master of your own magical destiny. Kick-ass, Keith. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Roger and I are going to be going to Chicago.
Is he going with you?
Yeah, I believe he's going to be coming with me.
Awesome. When is Chicago? Is it like this
That's
month?
The end of March, first weekend of April.
Oh, so you won't be at Retro?
No, I won't.
Expo. Okay.
No, I won't, unfortunately, which is a bummer because I've actually missed the last few of Joe's shows. And Joe, I love Joe Souza, great guy, puts on a really good convention. As I say to him all the times, one of the few con promoters I can trust. I can count them on one hand.
Yeah, right.
And Joe and yourself are one of them. You know what I mean?
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, Joe's a good guy. I definitely agree with you that.
I'm looking forward to doing hopefully Monster Expo.
Yeah, and I chose Joe's show. I was supposed to go. My buddy Matt is going to a convention in Virginia, I think. It's called the AuthorCon. It's more for like writers, but he was gonna share the table with me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'd try that, But then Retro Expo ended up being the same weekend, and I was like, I kind of can't pass that up because we did really well at the last one, so. Whereas I don't want to travel 15 hours and for an untested thing that's not even really comics. So I was like,
it's hard when you want to branch out because it's like you're really taking a gamble, especially if you're traveling and you're going far because there's a bigger financial investment. So, you could travel halfway across the country, go to a show that's a complete wash. And that hurts going home. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But all right, without further ado, let's bring in tonight's guest. I don't know much about our guest. He reached out to us. He's got a very cool looking book on Indiegogo that looks like it's totally inspired by like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or like SWAT cats, stuff like that.
Biker mice from Mars.
Yeah. It looks perfect. So let's bring in tonight's guests.
Yeah. Let's do this. Hey, Gilly, what's up, man?
Last name, Gil?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, you got it. Deltrez works.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Gilbert. Yeah,
awesome.
I took a look at actually both of you. It looks like you had another Indiegogo or two of them before this. I looked at everything earlier today, and the book looks incredible, dude. I'm sorry, I'm shocked. I wasn't aware of it before, before you coming on our show, so.
It's going to show how big indie circles are. It's crazy, man.
I'm telling you, like you said, how thing with a publisher. We had a deal with a publisher who shall remain nameless. But we had to cut ties. Alterna is a great publisher. I don't know what happened with you guys, but I'm sure keep things professional is always a great way to do things moving forward. And as a creator, you definitely got to look out for what you bring to the table, and you also want to make sure that the partnership is mutually beneficial in all aspects. And sometimes if it's not there for you or you're not seeing things, in my case with Grom, Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, with this publisher, like there was no marketing strategy. There was nothing. It was just like, hey, we'll just dump books into shops and that's it. And my issue has always been trying to find exposure. When you on Kickstarter, when you're on Indiegogo, everything is algorithms. Everything is what you bring, who you bring. All I do is I make great books. I have like a little YouTube channel. I have a wife, 2 kids, so it's hard to balance everything from the busy work life to the home life to the nightlife, comic book life. When you try to
preach that, dude,
trying to
do all
that. 3 lives that you're living. I totally understand.
Yeah, that's a lot of us out there, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a sad state that like half of your comic book career has to be promoting and not actually creating, or else it's like, what does it matter? Like no one's gonna see it, you know what I mean? So it's like, you gotta do half. That's half the battle, as Joe once said.
Which is funny because a lot of creative types are introverted, so it doesn't it's not natural instinct for this introverted creative type to promote. It's so counterintuitive for the introverted person. So it's like it's funny how that works.
I'm super introverted, and I just realized I get extroverted at times with the right people. And when it comes to promoting, I realize that I kind of find like the internet is this big ocean, and even though we all got cool books, some of the smaller creators like myself, you guys, right? Like I feel like we're on rowboats in this big vast ocean with a little cardboard, the paper towel cardboard, like it's like blowing through it. Hey, check out my comic. And we're battling against the Marvels and DCs that have these big yachts outfitted with all these type of speakers, amplifying. Hey, check out what Marvel and DC are doing. And then you got the hot shots that are YouTube guys that probably they had a big following when they were with mainstream. Then they're doing their own thing. And they bring their own audience. So it's like you're battling through all this white noise just to show that you got a cool book. And it doesn't help that the state of comics are the way they are. There's always some good comics out there that you just got to kind of find. And I find with the people that find Grom, they're the ones that go on the websites like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and they dig deep. They go in the mine shaft with their little helmet. They put the light on. They go deep down into the depths of almost hell to see these hidden gems of comics. And they'll find, okay, Grom, Gilly writes comic. Okay, I'll check this out. So I noticed that I still have to keep on being consistent with putting out some type of work out there because I'm always getting new backers. And you just got to grind. You literally got to go.
It is a grind.
And grind until you develop that following, how long it takes, or until maybe a YouTube influencer that is into your thing sees it and like, whoa, Mighty Mascots, this crap is dope. Or, hey, what do you got? Surrounded by Death? Is that what it is?
Surrounded by Death is one of my books.
Surrounded by Death. That sounds like a zombie thing. I'm into
it. Is a zombie thing, yeah.
I love zombie
it's Mallrats meets The Walking Dead. That's the flavor of the book.
So you get a YouTuber that's into zombie stuff, sees Surrounded by Death. Hey, guys, check this out. And then you get that influx that you might not be prepared for, and that you might be like, holy crap, like, you get so many orders coming in, and it's like, that's a good problem to have, because again, you're finding that someone resonates with your book and is willing to share it out. So we just got to stay grinding, and I hear what you're doing with the little convention kind of thing, like you're doing your own Comic-Con.
I did my own convention. It's grown.
Just keep on doing that. Yeah, like people like you.
Where are you located, scene. Gilbert?
Me, I'm in Florida, South Florida.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if you're closer, you should come down. But...
I'd be there, but hopefully, I'd love to try to take a trip somewhere that's a decent spot for indie comics, because I did one thing that Johnny said where I didn't spend a lot of money. It was still a South Florida Comic-Con, more Tampa Bay. They had their little Comic-Con, and I'm like, oh, let me do Tampa Bay Comic-Con. I went there, had a table. But it really wasn't geared towards indie books. You have people like
celebrities.
Not so much celebrities, but it's more like people with T-shirts, people with little ceramic mugs. And you have I was one of the few ones that had my own comic where somebody that was patrolling the spot, like, man, like, you got to go to this Comic-Con and this Comic-Con, not so much these, because you're missing your core audience of people who just want to find a new book to support.
It's a lot of trial and error with Comic-Cons. You know, we're up here in New England, so like there's like tons of them everywhere. Like you could throw a rock and go to one every weekend, literally.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool, but it's like a lot of them, you know, they're not, you know, they're like that, where they're not worth
or they're flea markets,
investment or flea market.
Yeah, or like, but there's some that are great up here that are comic focused. Mine being one of them, and then also like something big like Terrificon is very comic focused.
Terrificon's a highly recommended show, one to travel for.
Yeah, and there's a lot of one-day shows that are just like those old like Holiday Inn kind of shows. Those are perfect too. But yeah, it's tough.
What's the farthest you've traveled out, Gilly, for a show?
I wanted to do New York. I submitted my application. I showed my work. Grom, I'm an indie guy, and I didn't make New York Comic-Con 2022. I tried so hard. I'm like, this is the spotlight, you know, New York Comic-Con, Artist Alley. I've been there as a fan. That thing is huge. You're talking about football field. You're telling me you can't give me a table?
Yeah, right.
You know, well, a fold-out chair, you know, just it's up, so people can see Grom that happened by that. Yeah, that happened by that dark alley that I'm there. You know, I'm like, hey, there's Grom. Like, what? Like, I couldn't make it, so my application was rejected. I kind of took that a little too personal.
Like I had New York, especially. I
knew once they asked for a Twitter handle, I'm like, hold on, what's going on here? I got to put a Twitter handle on an application fee.
Oh, really?
For New York,
they
Comic-Con?
do. They do a deep dive in you, and it's not like a random choice thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
You're saying you took it a little too personal.
I did.
Did you blast him online?
Nah, I wanted to. I got, like I said, we got to be professional. I'll just say, hey, really bummed out. And I've been crowdfunding books since, like almost 10 years, I want to say. Like going on 9 years. I had my first comic I did was my love letter to zombies as well. It's called Under the Flesh. And it was my little, it's like I want to play on all the zombie stereotypes, but I want to flip everything on its head to be like, oh, wait, this isn't zombies. So in my story, I had a virus that only infected males. Okay, only males. And the main character was a super soldier who, during him receiving his new powers, the whole world the whole world shit the bed, right? Sorry about my language. And that's when I call it the skid, right? That's when everything hit the fan, and he literally has these untapped abilities during the apocalypse. So that was the story that I was working on, and then I've done other stuff. So horror, I've done Blackheart Manor, The Deep Dark. If you guys just go to GillyWritesComics.com. I got
you did Blackheart Manor. I backed that book. Actually, I
hope you enjoyed it. So I teamed up.
I did enjoy it. I didn't know that was you.
Yeah, I teamed up with Marcus. My God, Marinus. Excuse me, my brain is
the other book that
Marinus
was with that one. It was two
The Deep
books.
Dark. You got
Deep Dark. Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah.
So The Deep Dark, I did that with JL Giles, the same artist. So if you look at my body of work, I put out top quality stuff. So it's like showing that to New York Comic-Con and not being able to get in. It's like, man, if you can't get an indie creator like myself that has great quality work, that hasn't been able to find a publisher, like, what do you do? So it's just like, I took it a little too hard, but we got to be positive and optimistic.
Well, you know what it is?
Because it is like, hard.
I had to go the small press route, which is even more expensive, but I did walk through the Artist Alley. It's very like every artist there is somehow like with a publisher. My impression. Johnny, wouldn't you say that would be true? Like with the Artist Alley in New York, like everybody's with some kind of publisher. Like it feels like they stack the show.
They stack it big time. Last time I went to Comic-Con, I met Jim Zub. I like him. He's a great dude. Yeah. So he's a top dog. I mean, me against Jim Zub, I can't. How you compare, right? How do you compare? The guy wrote Dungeons and Dragons, he wrote Dark Horse, Marvel. Like, how do you compare? So I get, the space is limited, but I'm like, they gotta be a little pocket of just indie guys that are just grinding to get a little spot in the corner.
Like,
they do
something like
in the dungeon.
Somewhere,
man.
So they do that. Somewhere. What I've noticed is that if you're an indie guy, unless you have a big following, they may or may not let you into Artist Alley, but they really want to push you to the bigger, more expensive booth, the independent press booth. That way they're making, more money off you. The other thing is that if you're, say, like an individual that's doing a bunch of Reed Pop shows, and you keep submitting to all these Reed Pop shows across the country, you start getting into some of those other smaller ones. If you take a chance on them, they'll take a chance on you, kind of thing. You know what I mean? At least that's what I've noticed.
So your name goes higher to the list or something.
Right, exactly. So it's like you really gotta, drink some of the Kool-Aid.
Hit the smaller ones maybe first, like maybe for me, Florida SuperCon or like the MegaCon. Start there before I get into New York Comic Con, right? That's the who's who, right?
Right,
you gotta
exactly.
show that you're playing the game. I get you.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's two guys that pick artist alleys for all the shows. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Or like three guys or something like that. So,
yeah, right.
So it's it's a very curated process from what I've found out.
That's awesome. Sure. Got some cool comments here. Ben Soto was saying, "I'm the dude with a life vest, shredding water." And then Amy mentioned Wicked Comic Con, which is another.
Wicked Comic Con's a great show.
Great comic-based show. I follow a ton of people I don't even like on Twitter just so I can apply to NYCC artists.
Man, I don't think about that they see who you follow. That's true too.
Yeah, they must go through everything. What was I going to say? So Gilbert, whenever we have a new guest on the show, let me back up for a minute.
Yeah,
usually
we jump so far ahead. Let's back it up a bit.
Right into it. But yeah, we always like to learn the origin of creators too. Like, like, was there a comic book or a TV show or cartoon in your past that kind of put you on this path to becoming a creator? Like, what started the spark or love of comics for you?
I've always been a visual guy. I mean, ever since I was a kid, after church on Sunday, we go to the deli, the spinner rack. I would always grab a comic, Daredevil, TMNT, Spider-Man. So I've always been visual. Video games is another thing. I'm very, very visual, and I always love the storytelling aspect. There's just telling a story that people are sitting down, if it's a movie, for an hour and a half to watch. If it's a comic, to just flip through. Like, you're imparting something there to people. And I always love that. And of course, after, how many movies we've seen that are just horrible?
Yeah.
No offense, right? I mean, everyone puts their hard work, but I mean, I'm like, man, I could get it. Maybe I should put my energy into this. And it started out with screenplays, and then I'm like,
oh, really?
It did start out with screenplays, but then I'm like, there was something in my brain that's not thinking comic. It's like, screenplays, movies, but then when I'm like really getting into it, I'm like, it's like almost I rediscovered my love of comics. I'm like, man, comic books is it's a script. It's like a movie in comic book form. It's like the blueprint to a movie. If you think about what a comic book is, if you think about even when you do a movie, you have like layouts for people who do the layouts and stuff, the storyboard artists. I'm like, man, why don't I write a freaking comic? Because I'm like, I'm doing screenplays, but all you is black and white text. And again, it's all a who's who of who you know. I mean, I'm not friends with any producer or something where he'll just put my script on a table for someone to read. I'm Joe Blow. I'm literally Joe Blow. Anon. You don't know who the hell I am. I'm still trying to find my audience, right? So it's like, but with my ideas, I said, if I couple that with an artist, I'm like, I have something here. And I tapped into that. My love of zombies. Like I said, I started with Under the Flesh was my first comic.
So
I always loved zombie stuff, yeah.
Did Under the Flesh start off as like a screenplay?
No. Under the Flesh started off as a full-blown comic. It started off as a short story I did while I was in college. And again, I always have this. I love zombies, and it's like, well, how do you try to make it fresh? I'm like, okay, maybe a virus that only affects males. Okay, zombie stories. They only have like a location, right? Like in The Walking Dead, the jail, right?
Yeah.
Hospitals, right? If the Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. We have the malls, right? Day of the Dead, which is another one of my favorite zombie movies. We have like the army base. So when I did Under the Flesh, I had in mind like a library will be like the main spot, right? Okay. Internet's down. They get information from libraries. It's weird where I get my ideas, but that was just the start. And then I just started pouring into my love of horror into comics. I did Lair with Sebastian Navas, who I did Galactic Rodents of Mayhem with. That was like a dimensional horror story where if you guys are into demon possession stuff like The Exorcist, my take on it was, well, where do demons lurk before they possess a human being? So I have like this dimension where they dwell, and the main character stumbles upon this dimension. The artwork's really cool. So basically it was horror. I'm the twisted guy that I think there's fun in horror, but
I love horror. Man.
I love horror too. But I'm like, let me branch into something more fun. And me and Sebastian tapped into our true love, which is, Saturday morning cartoons, stuff like Ninja Turtles, stuff like...
Dude, this guy's a man after my own heart. I mean, we're both horror fans, and we love that cartoon stuff. I'm so inspired by that era, growing up.
I love it. I grew up in the 80s, man, so for me, horror,
that was the best.
Any video store you go, just looking at the boxes, you know what I'm saying? Look at the front and the back, and just like, man, there's a bevy of hidden gems out there still to be discovered. And then with Saturday morning cartoon stuff, for me, it's such an era of greatness where, of course, there's a lot of copycat stuff going on, but there's still a degree of just fun that they're having, right? Because they want to attract the kids, they want to sell toys, and we know TMNT spawned a bunch of copycats, right? Where they call them ripoffs. But some of those really still held the test of time. Some of them still had their impact. Stuff like Battletoads, even for the video game, one of the hardest Nintendo video games ever. That's inspired by TMNT. If you look at Biker Mice of Mars, that's inspired. That SWAT has its little thing. SWAT Cats, Street Sharks.
Yeah, and what was the other?
During that era, it was like there was the thing, and then there was like the thing that was like it. Like, for Transformers, they had Mask, or for Thundercats, they had Silverhawks. You know what I mean? Like that kind of deal.
Yeah. Everyone had like the knockoffs, but comics have that too.
Even Marvel
for every
and DC,
swamp
they got their
thing,
own,
there's a man thing. You know what I mean? So.
Man thing's far superior. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, that's some good debates right there. Yeah. Some good debate. But that's where Grom came to life, Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. We wanted to do our spin, but we didn't want to make it feel like a copycat. We wanted it to be something where, hey, we know you like TMT back in the day, because I like TMNT back in the day. We know it's hard to just get into a new comic. We come here. You're gonna feel welcomed here, because it's gonna tap into that nostalgia.
Yeah,
but it's gonna do it in a fresh way. There's anime influence in Grom. There's video game influence in Grom. It's just fun. I wanted to create a comic that, selfish as it may be, that I would have fun reading, and I feel like in that other people would, definitely
be attracted
join in on the fun. Would be attracted for sure.
The fun and the attracted to it because you love it so much that
I think that's the most genuine way to approach it, though. You make the comic for yourself, and if other people happen to like it, great. You know what I mean?
That's pretty much, yeah.
So how many I saw you had a couple of campaigns of Grom, and I love that the shortened and what is it, acronym for it is very close to Conan's god Crom.
Oh yeah.
Which I love.
By Chrome.
Yeah. But I saw that you had a few campaigns, so you must have been doing this book for a while, right?
Yeah, so we first did it. We had an Indiegogo back, I want to say close to 3 years ago. Okay. And that was for me being green, naive. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a campaign. I'm literally a nobody. I want to do a 100+ page book right off the bat.
Oh wow, that's
dumbest, ballsiest move you can ever do. I would have just took it baby step, but we were able to fund the book. Then COVID happened, and Sebastian Navas, who's an amazing artist, and my buddy that we teamed up on Grom, he went through such a tragedy. He was expecting the birth of his daughter. He was to welcome her into the universe, open arms, and she passed away at birth. So that affected him to do pages. Like, I mean, you got to be strong for your family. You just lose your daughter. How am I going to expect you to churn out pages? It's just you got to wait for him to get into the right headspace. So we've been through. It was a roller coaster of hell and back. Then the whole thing with Scout, and it's like, okay, we're going to kind of like reintroduce Grom on Kickstarter because we haven't done that, and we're going to do it episodically, but we're going to add bonus content for each, chapter. So we have like the first 4 issues, but you have bonus content in the form of behind the scenes stuff, Q&As, and we even did what I like to call Grom Bites, which is like these little 3-page filler stories on some of the different characters within the trade paperback. So you get like a little story here, you get a little story there within the 4 that we did to wrap it up. And then the idea is just to continue it episodically, because I can never do a campaign for a 100-page book. I don't have the how do you say the fortitude mentally to do that. It's a lot of stress whenever you crowdfund a campaign.
I mean, that breaks down to 5 regular issues if you're doing about 20 pages or so.
Yeah, if it's like 22 pages. Yeah, because our 4th issue is literally a double issue.
Yeah.
It's like 5 issues. Yeah,
that's
It would be
crazy.
5
That's
issues,
you know, and so what's the basic premise? I know they're like galactic and they're rodents, and so what's like? What are the villains like? Are they cats or something? Like that would seem like the '80s kind of cartoon thing,
So here's the flipper on that. They're rodents, right? But the kicker is that they're capybaras. Capybaras are the most amazing rodents in the world. They're the largest rodent in the world.
Yeah.
They swim underwater. They hold their breath for up to 5 minutes, and they chill with literally every animal in the universe. And I didn't believe it was true, but this is how Sebastian sold me on it when we were first doing our little fun comic. They get along with crocodiles. And for me, if you get along with crocodiles, and you look up on Google, TikTok video, there's a video of a capybara riding a crocodile through the river. There's a bevy of videos of one capybara surrounded by crocodiles. So if you are in the respect of a crocodile, that's it. And for me, that just jump-started. I love capybara. That just jump-started, like the script formulated in my mind. I came up with the 3 main characters, which is Bash, Ripple, and Mona Lisa. Okay. And then I got their father figure playing off on the Ninja Turtles. They have a reptilian father figure named Gangon. He's a gecko gunslinger. He kind of raises them, shows them the way of the bounty hunter trade.
Nice.
And the story is basically a bounty, an interstellar bounty just is put on their heads. They don't know from where, but some of the villains they got to deal with are sniper vipers. They have to deal with a big ass robo shark, and another one is who I call Dark Raider. Okay. He wears a skull mask. He has a hood and cloak, and there's a lot of mystery to him. But he's a badass, and he wants them dead. So it's just having fun with this concept, and the idea is to just play more into it as we go forward.
It feels like the Saturday morning cartoon, like directly, just based on the pitch.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we were trying to go for. Something that was just ballsy fun, that just made you feel like you were a kid again in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just
exactly what I'm doing with Mighty Mascots. It almost to a T,
Is it an all ages book?
That horror side comes in,
it comes in a little bit.
I want to say that it's not that it's not, but there's some dark stuff in there in terms of the beginning of the book. It's not a spoiler because this is our pitch out there. Like, the kids see the death of their mother, the capybara pups see the death of their mother, and there's some brutal violence in there, headshots.
That's Bambi.
So I'm thinking of trying to tap into maybe a more family, I guess maybe an all ages one, maybe in the version of a spinoff, where Gangon maybe raises the capybara pups as kids, and we go into maybe a story of their adventures. But it's just the nature in me to come out to show something visceral, because the real world, it's a nasty place. So as much as I want to paint the side of good, I always want to show that the evil is a real threat. So I would say it's a teen, maybe like 14, and that's if you don't mind a 10-year-old seeing
about it. Those original Eastman and Laird comics were very violent too, and then they came out with you could even do Grom Adventures. Remember how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had the Archie version, There you go, something like that. People love those, those Archie ones, They're really classic. Well remembered,
They're classic.
Yeah, you could do something like that if you wanted to. But I don't. I think the tone might be perfect. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I was reading, violent comics. You know what I mean? So
you have to remember back in the 80s, there would be a rated R movie, and then there would be a kids cartoon based on that rated R movie. You know what I mean? Rambo, and then Rambo the cartoon.
I think they had a RoboCop cartoon.
Yeah,
of course they did. Heck yeah.
Based off this hard R-rated movie, So
the 80s and 90s for me was such a great time because
what an era!
It was just. I felt like it's one of the best ever, and it's hard to get that again. I think a lot of creators are trying to rekindle that and tap into that. I mean, even anime for me, I was first exposed to anime, I was maybe 12 or something, it was an anime called Ninja Scroll, and it was just a flat-out movie.
It was just awesome.
It was just a movie, but it was brutal. Yeah. It was the bad guys effed you up.
Yeah.
They like, whoa. And the main good guy, Jubei, was a badass. And it's like,
yeah, he was.
I'm exposed to this at 12, so there, Fist of the North Star is another one.
Akira,
exactly.
have you seen Akira?
City,
Akira.
Yeah, all those ones.
So many great stuff and even now we see the evolution of anime, and that now you just have so many bizarre ideas as seasons, right? It's season 1, season 2. So it's the storytelling. They always try to outdo themselves, and they move at a mile a minute because they got these studios putting out so many cool stuff. And I feel like us with comics, there's such a beauty with comic books, but I feel like everything is getting muddled because I mean, I know manga's great, and I'm not denying that, but I mean, American comics influenced a lot of manga too. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no denying it. Like in the '90s, like Marvel and DC would push books in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Like it was growing so in such an alarming rate.
The big two. The biggest problem is their accessibility. Like where manga is so easy to get into. You just go, you find the one you want.
Thank you.
And there's like 1 through like 15 there,
and it's so simple. And
it's so simple. There's no there's no like event, where there's like offshoots, it's like, that's the problem I think that the big two have is like, so you go, like you want to read like a Spider-Man book and there's like a million storylines. It's like, where do you even start? Like,
I know.
If
that's kind of what
disconnected
me with the big two as I was getting into my later teens, is because you want to read, but you pick up something and you're not into where you want to be. You maybe pick up something and you're like in issue 4 of like 5 of that roundabout series or something. It's like it wasn't easy. Like you're saying, like manga is very simple to get into. So there's a lot of retooling, I feel, with comics, because if you look at us on the indie side of things, our competition is anime. Our competition is movies. I mean, some people are like, I can back a book, wait X amount of months to get the book. The hype dies down a little bit. You literally have to like feel the journey of like an independent and like want to support that and see their growth as a creator. Like, see them grow. Like, hey, I want to see how Johnny grows to Surrounded by Death. What's his next one going to be? I want to see Keith, right? How he goes through Mighty Mascots. What is he going to do something else from that? Like, that's what I feel like, where the more hardcore people will back us and keep on supporting us, because they understand, the demographic, they understand the market, and it's hard to make it as an indie and be thorough, especially when you look at the publishing side of things. There's no, for me anyway, I don't see a real organic approach into cultivating any new type of indie voices, on a consistent level. I don't know if Marvel and DC has their little talent thing, but I don't know. That for me, I think that's biased. Like, they already know who they're gonna pick. They already know. Yeah. If you're an activist more than an actual creative writer, like that's
you go right to the top of the list.
I'm just saying.
I feel like Kickstarter and Indiegogo are the places that do that right now, right? And it's the self-starting individuals that bring their projects to those platforms. That's exactly what you're describing, Gilly, right? Because any other place, any other independent publisher, you mentioned one previously, everything is to their own ends and to their own means, right? Whereas if you're an independent creator, like I was kind of telling Keith at the beginning when he was telling about his separation from his publisher, it's like you're doing it on your own terms. And you fail on your own terms, but you also succeed on your own terms. You know what I mean? And it's not paying to the ends or the egos of other people supporting their label, as opposed to backing your own work and showing everybody, look, I can do this and I can do it on my own. And as long as you give me like just a little bit of attention, I can take you on the ride. You know what I mean?
Everything now is numbers. Everything is like, okay, why push a book by Keith or Johnny or Gilly when I can just have Scott Snyder, who's already a name, writing for Aftershock, writing for Marvel, writing for the Mad Cave Studios, a new one. Like, it's this fraternity where I get, like, listen, he's a talented guy. I'm not denying that. But
it's hard to break into that. Yeah.
It's hard. Then you have these same guys that are just writing and writing and writing and writing, and that's good for them because their bank is increasing, their popularity is increasing. But you have a lot of people like us grinding just to get some notoriety, trying to find deals with publishers, and they're not twofold in agreements. Johnny, you brought up a good point that I have two things to say, right? Let's look at the agreement, right? If we look at, right, when I had my thing with the publisher who named Nameless, we must have did just the first issue. That's literally what we did. The deal was we do a first issue, put it in comic book shops. It wasn't going to be second, third, fourth issue. You get the first issue with the intent to buy the graphic novel separating that. The first issue was a way to get you into the world, and then you do a graphic novel, okay? They had delays. They pushed me back.
They were only going to put out one issue, and then, like,
that was
weird.
Put out one issue.
Seems counterintuitive.
In the end of that issue, it's kind of like, get ready for the trade paperback. And I'm going to tell you something. I wanted it that way. Okay, because I want to be the only one. If I'm going to do something content, I just say, let me do that, get my name out, and then you get the graphic novel. If we keep it going, whatever. But what happened was, so interestingly, is that with all the delays and back forth, end scenario, I sold 2,000 units of that Grom first issue in comic book shops. Okay? From someone who don't know me in a hole in the wall, don't know the name to push it, but just people banking on the cover. The cover I wanted in comic book shops. Do I even have it here? Let me see. Oh no! Yeah, I think.
So this publisher put the first issue out, and then
they put the first issue out. They didn't do it with.
Let me make you big here so we can see that. All right.
They didn't do it with this cover. I wanted this to be the first issue cover to be in comic book shops. They didn't do it with this cover. They did it with another cover, which is a more retro cover we have. It is a pretty cool cover. Let me see
do
if
you
I
have
can,
that there too?
I'm gonna show you. I don't think I. Oh yeah, here we go. Might have it here. So, nope. I'll have to have the wife come and bring it. But the idea was, for me, this is going to move copies, on a shelf. Their idea was to keep this first issue on their website at a higher price point to move sales there. My thing is, if I could sell 2,000 units on not the cover that I wanted, and people don't know who I am, end of story, that 2,000 netted me less than $500 after I split what we got with Sebastian. Okay.
Oh wow.
When I did what I did with my Kickstarter, less than 80 people backed my book, and I made twofold, threefold that amount. Let's say like 2,500 or something, which I was able to finance the art, do a small print run, and have a little bit to invest in the next book. So with saying that, that's the one thing, right? Because you want to have a deal, right? You want to have something that works both ways. And this will give you an idea that you can actually make more on your own with 100-something backers than getting into. My whole deal wanting to get into the comic book shop is to get exposure. If 2,000 people bought this, they don't want to know more about it.
Right. Yeah, they'll try to find you online or whatever. Yeah, no. And that's sort of the boat I was in, with my publisher too. I see that. Like, I see that as being a reason for walking away,
And then the second thing is that when we do Kickstarter, Indiegogo, this kind of thing, if you look at Kickstarter, you got a bevy of publishers that are connected with Hollywood, making money, Boom Studios, that are putting out Kickstarters. That's great because people are finding and getting their stuff. But I'm saying for the intention of indie creators that were using Kickstarter to Kickstarter their stuff, now that's more competition for us. Now we got to fight John Wick and Berserker now.
Yeah, right.
Like he comes out making $1 million. Like I can't. How do I do that?
Wesley Snipes just do
Wesley
one
Snipes
too?
got another one, right? So it's just like again, I love these type of stories. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it makes harder for people to find us.
Right, but it doesn't seem like those people go and back other comics. They're there for Keanu Reeves and Wesley Snipes, but
then those are the featured comics that are like the
right,
algorithm that's getting pushed, that's getting recommended or whatnot. So
the algorithm keeps them in the top there. Yeah, definitely. That's the stuff that's hard, and I agree with that. And I don't have any magic bullets for how to stand out, but for me, it's always been like I've been doing this. God, almost 20. It feels like almost 20. It's almost 20 years actually. I started in like 2005, and I think for me, my thing was always, and I think you have this is you got to start with like a product that looks awesome and reads awesome, and people come to your table and flip through it and like, wow, this looks good. You start from that level, and then you almost. If you can sell it to them after that, if just by talking to them, then that works. But I also always was the type that I like doing shows in person, but I also like to have the online element too, like doing this show with Johnny, my Twitter, things like that. So I think it's like a combination of doing all of that stuff, but it's a lot of work.
You just gotta grind.
Really is.
Get one here, one there, one.
You gotta
here, one
love
there.
this.
You get like 200 loyal. Maybe they get to 200 eventually. Like, you gotta love it, and like
you gotta
we
love
don't do
it
it for the money. We do it for the love and storytelling.
Right.
You know,
you can't just produce one comic and expect Hollywood to knock on your door.
No.
You know, or like if you're in it for that,
I don't think you should expect Hollywood to ever knock on your door when you're making comics. That's just like the cherry on top if that happens. If you're making comics just to get, have a movie made, well, keep pipe dreaming, homie.
Well, I think that's
let me share one thing there, because like you said, there's a lot of back and forth that goes with that. And I'll say that because one comic I did on Kickstarter is called Pistolera. It's a Western. I always wanted to do a Western. So my protagonist is a pregnant, teen with a vengeance. So she learns the ways of the gun from her brother, who's an outlaw. But I bring that up because I had received a Kickstarter message randomly, and I thought it was a joke saying, hey, we like the idea of your book, and, we kind of want to maybe see about doing something with it. And I'm like, okay. Hollywood now will definitely F it up. So let's not go there.
Never a truer statement right there. But anyways,
there's option agreement. There's like you got to read the fine print. Then there's so much.
Oh, so you got an option for that book?
I was in talking. The war was the back and forth talking, and at that time, little old me, since I had the little thing with Scout Comics and Grom, I trusted one of the guys there to talk, to be like the mediator in between the talking, and he was so lax. He was so like where. He didn't follow up in time or something because he was moving or whatever, and that deal fell through because the guy's like, man, your guy hasn't got back to me in so long. So initially started with me and the other person who was directly involved, but I'm new. I don't know if you're going to take advantage of me. I don't know. Say, hey, listen, I got these people here that I'm working with and know some. He talked in between, and then the thing fell through. So there's so much learning that even when you get to that, it's not like seamless. It's not clear cut. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of back and forth. And even, I mean, weren't we supposed to have a He-Man live action movie how many years ago? Even with something like He-Man, things get pushed back and forth. So if you ever get an option where someone's interested in yourself, Johnny or Keith, just understand like that's a whole nother hurdle to navigate around.
Now, I'm curious about that whole thing. Was that, like, did the option come because you were with the publisher? Like, did the publisher introduce it?
The dude literally sought me out on Kickstarter. Check your Kickstarter messages. Yeah, literally sought me out on Kickstarter. And the way he got notice of my book was apparently he followed someone on Kickstarter who happened to back my book.
Oh,
and then he saw like the pregnant lady with the gun and the Western.
This is awesome.
He thought this would be a good idea for like a show.
Yeah.
So then we started talking, and it's like he was going to pay me in Canadian currency or something. I'm like, no, I don't know if it's legit, and like,
by the end of it, you get $10,
little old me didn't realize that, but maybe then it could have been worth it just to to get the experience of seeing something actually get made, and then they could have opened a door to something. But we live and we learn. The guy's a great guy, but he moved on to different stuff, and that's how it goes. But that's where the publisher thing hurt me again. It's like, man, I trusted you guys with so much, and then like seeing how that relationship just like it has to be two ways. And for me, if I'm doing most of the legwork, well, you're just there to collect. So it's like then.
What's the point?
Do it on my own, and
right.
If I'm already getting
a bigger cut,
if I'm already getting apparently someone interested in the TV for my thing, I don't have any agent, I don't have none of that, so it's just a matter of people just finding it. So you don't know who you're reaching, you don't know who you're talking to. Even when you get your little bevy of creators, just keep grinding, because we're not doing it for the fame. At least I know us three aren't. We're doing it because we love to tell stories.
Yeah,
if you can go back and do it all over again, would you not pass it off? Would you handle it directly?
I would handle it directly. I would do everything on my own, and even if I was getting coupons for something, I would have just done it to see if we can see it come to fruition. That would have been cool. So the cool thing is that time is not over, right? The story is not finished. Who knows, maybe 10 years from now, who knows if I got gray hairs all over and I'm 65, but someone finally wants to I'll hopefully if I can live to see that. So you never know when a moment comes. So just stay grinding to what we do, right?
I think like I mean, yeah, like Johnny said, like it shouldn't be your goal, but it's definitely like a nice little cherry on this career that you carved out as a creator. So if something happens, like my thing is I would love to do an animated series like with my book. I think that's what it would be more destined for, like, because I can't imagine it would be good as like a live action. I don't know, maybe, but like I just see it as that Saturday morning retro kind of cartoon that if someone ever took a chance on, I think they would kill it, with the ratings and everything, So same with yours. Maybe we got a Grom and Mighty Mascots double
crossover.
Yeah, like a double feature,
when they cool.
Crossover, yeah, or a double-sized issue.
No, even better. Mighty Mascots and Grom Power Hour.
Oh,
like a Saturday morning cartoon.
I would buy the fuck out of that book. I would buy 2 copies. Give me the variant cover. Let me back the highest tier of the campaign. Sign me the fuck up.
But do you remember that when they do like those
crossovers and stuff? I know like TMNT and Usagi Yojimbo, Stan Sakai did Usagi Yojimbo. Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird did TMNT. They were crossing over in their worlds all the time.
That's great stuff, man.
Now it's so
let's go to the 80s. I
Yeah,
want a time machine so bad, dude.
They were such a golden age then, even with their stuff. Now it's like I think it's just oversaturation.
Yeah,
it's just because we got good stuff, but there's just so much out there.
Oversaturation and a shrinking readership is our biggest problem.
I don't want to say that we're dinosaurs. I don't know what I mean. Like, are we endangered species? Like, I'm still gonna keep on going for whoever just backs whatever campaign I got. I'll just use that to keep on going because again, I'm not here for the money. But it's sad because you would want to see what we're talking about. Like we'd want to see something grow. We'd want to see, but like you said, a risk. Who would take the risk? Everything now, if you look at movies, it's about who's starring in the movie, how much money can we bring in, and that's why they tap into these baked-in audiences. Like Addams Family, we'll do a Wednesday spinoff.
Everything
we'll do
is a
Jurassic
remake
Park.
Or
We'll do
reboot.
Camp Cretaceous. Everything is buying into or using baked-in audience. Lord of the Rings, we'll do our Rings of Power on Amazon.
Yeah, right.
Last of Us, we know it sold millions of copies on PS5. We'll just throw in, I can't forget his name, Pedro Pascal as the lead. And don't get me wrong, it looks good, but it's just, that's the kind of stuff that's going to make it. So it's just, it's going to be hard to even...
It's like you got to create your own IP and into a level like that before someone will even take a notice of it,
The coolest thing, I'm thinking, instead of having someone take notice of it, get to the point where you have your own following, where you crowdfund the hell out of whatever. I'm going to do a Mighty Mascots like animated show. You crowdfund the pilot episode, which is going to be super expensive.
Yeah,
because we're talking about animation, right? Grom had interest from someone that had connections, that they had their own, I can't talk much on that, but they liked Grom. Okay, we'll see how it could work. And just budget-wise, I think a 22-minute episode on the lines of animation style of Archer, of like that quality, you're looking at $100,000. So I don't have $100,000.
Oh
maybe
God.
If you get to where you can kickstart,
and that's not even great animation.
You got a good rate. Yeah. You got a good rate because I've heard much higher. I've
but that's not even
buddy
great
of mine
animation.
I got a buddy of mine who got a $300K for a half hour, $300K price tag.
But that's the thing; it depends on the quality. Maybe that quality was of the Disney What If, art, which is more like it's true. So the Archer, you already see, it's not the best quality, but it can get the job done. That's
right.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe if you you can crowdfund if you build your readership to where you have maybe 1,000 loyal supporters. I'm like, hey guys, we're gonna try to crowdfund $100,000, whatever you can, whatever you can do to help it. But what's it gonna do? It's just to create a 22-minute episode. Maybe we can put it on a DVD for you, or maybe we give you the file so you can watch it digitally. We'll stream it on YouTube right on a Saturday, whatever. But the idea is to sell this. We're making this 22-minute video to use that to pitch it out to other studios to see to see if they want to take a risk on it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying that's the way I'm thinking because
right.
Where are you gonna attract a big studio or something? It's like I feel like through Kickstarter and crowdfunding, maybe we could just crowdfund our own. Maybe you don't go to a big studio. Maybe you go to some guy or a team of guys who are just starting on their own and doing it. Maybe they'll charge you less. Like it gets deep, but I'm saying like maybe that could be a way, like a renegade way of just doing something.
I would even be happy if I could do like a 5 or even not even like maybe a minute intro, like a Thundercats thing. Like, remember how awesome that intro was? Imagine you could do something like that with your property and just make that, and it'd be like, here, this is what I envision the show to be, almost like what they call like a sizzle reel or something. You know, that would be, that would be cool. You know, and you just highlight every part of a cool thing. What's
part
that?
Of a pitch. That could be part of the pitch to to pitch to a bigger publisher or something.
There's some great comments here too. Dr. Mass said, I would watch that with a big bowl of Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. Hells yeah.
That's what we wanted, you know? And
heck yeah.
Ben said, while it's not the goal, I think it would be validating to get a movie TV deal more than anything. Yeah, I think so. And look at this, Mark Ellis. Hey, buddy, what's up? Thanks for joining us. I'm here for the Mighty Mascots animated show.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so awesome. Hey, well, we're one step closer with action figures, right?
Yeah, I got my little. I started making. Gilbert, remember the muscle figures from the 80s?
Yeah, yes.
I started making.
I love those.
Here, I'll make. I don't know if you guys can see. I got the.
Nice. Yeah,
this is
so good.
That's cool.
He's missing the sword, but this is one of the misprints. But they did the bird and everything.
That's cool.
So it's gonna look like that. So I can't wait to get those. Hopefully in the next month or so. You know.
That's cool.
But yeah, I'm working on like all that kind of merchandising. I think
merchandising.
Yeah, you got
Spaceballs, the flamethrower.
exactly. Hey, do you have any plans on doing stuff like that? Like start making toys or?
I would love to. It's just so expensive. I reached out to an indie toy maker, and it's like tooling costs and this and that's like $14,000. Like when I hit the lotto, trust me, I'm just we'll get those toy lines and stuff. But for now, everything is like, okay, if you want to attract even a toy deal, like what's your audience?
Yeah.
You know, so unless I show I got 10,000 YouTube subscribers, I got 3,000 loyal backers that back any campaign I throw down, it's, you have to do it yourself. Happen. It's like you have to do it yourself. So find it or kickstart it yourself saying, hey guys, we're going to need $30,000. All right, can we get this done? Well, and if you have the demand, you price point it a certain way, and I do have an in with a toy company, and I'm just seeing the ins and outs and the process. Very, very meticulous. Very I'm just talking about when you're doing a sculpt, the detail that goes into that. And then you need someone that does the 3D rendering. It's a whole. It is its own science.
Yeah, right.
So
you don't even think about the other things. Like you gotta the packaging. Like how much is that? Like just for the bubble, the bubble thing that holds the figure, and you know what I mean? Like all that stuff, the cardboard backing, or if it's in a box,
There's a lot that goes into it. So I would love to get there. Grom is tailor made. For action figure treatment, video game treatment, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but you already see, it's just having that connection. Because again, everything. It's like if they do this, there has to be a certain amount. Like they can't just do, we'll just do 100 figures. They have to be like maybe they can only do 2,000 figures, and they would have to be at this price point to make it worth their end to have it happen. So there's so much.
Right, and you have to have that audience because they're not just going to take a chance on you, and it's a whole thing.
Money,
man.
Everything boils down to money, man. It's just what could you bring in?
Money and an audience, and then trying to build an audience.
And that's why we see so many TMNT, right? We see NECA with the license, we see Super 7, and you have Best Action. You everyone and their mother's got a TMNT license. You know what I'm saying? Like Playmates is still throwing out stuff. Like NECA had their own Last Ronin. Playmates we got the license, we'll do our own Last Ronin. So it's
it's nuts.
We're gonna so for a new IP to just come in, it's like you have to someone has to, unless Todd McFarlane comes down and says I personally believe in this and I'm gonna just get it out there. No, you got to grind out the hard way and do it on a small scale just for your own satisfaction if you can get there.
Yeah, and even then, an established creator can put out something new and still not catch the traction that you'd think.
We see that all the time.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's it's like sometimes you just get that one shot to shoot that shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. I was talking to a toy company too for a while, and then they kind of decided to go in the new different direction, of course, and then I don't even think they're doing anything now, but the COVID kind of hurt them. But
COVID hit a lot.
Yeah, they were
There are a
making
lot
some
of
cool
companies.
toys, and their whole idea was that they wanted to do original property stuff that wasn't done. And I was like, hey, I think this would be great. I was telling them, make sure the boxes all look like cereal boxes, and you open it up, and the guy, it would be perfect.
That
But
would be cool.
yeah, it would have been awesome. And I was like even
like
talking
the prize inside.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been so good, but it stuff falls apart all the time, like as so but you have that chance, you had the chance, which is nice, so but yeah, let me show everybody the campaign while we're
I was
talking
literally
here.
just on the campaign page myself right now, man.
I mean, how good is this artwork? Like,
so
look at
good.
this.
And I mean, just congrats on getting, to over 8K. Like, that's not a small feat, man. Like, well done. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
Dude, this capybara is badass.
Ripple. That's Ripple.
I love it.
Shades.
I love it. Yeah, this is cool, man. I see the manga, a little bit of the manga influence there too. And
Oh yeah, Sebastian's a big Robotech Macross fan. So there's, like I said, you got get inspiration from everywhere with this one.
where'd you find this guy? He's amazing, man. Amazing work.
I was blessed to find him way back when Facebook Boom Studios would take artist submissions.
Yep.
And I would just scout the artist submissions page, and I saw his stuff. I'm like, why? I mean, like, wow, this is good. And I just reached out to him, like, man, let's do a book. And our first book we did was called Lair. It was the real dark horror one.
Yeah.
And then from there, we established such a good relationship that, I mean, he's a brother. So then we're like, okay, let's do something fun now. We went to Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, and he has an itch. I know you mentioned Crom. He has an itch for sword and sorcery because he always wanted to do fantasy, and I always had a love for fantasy. So after we finish Grom, we might, have a nice pause where we might delve into a sword and sorcery tale.
Oh, okay.
And then we're thinking of alternating between this sword and sorcery project we might start and Grom, and just like do that,
and then
just
do
as
like
long.
maybe one a year, one every 6 months, or
Alternate something like that. You will do probably up to here, and then from there they will jump back and forth. Just because I guess from an artist standpoint, when you got an itch, you got an itch, and we always talked about doing a fantasy even before Grom, but then Grom took off because it just people liked it. So he's like he's like I need to breathe, and he's like we need to let the people with Grom so they stay with that first arc, and then let them sit with it. So I feel like maybe he wants the little breather, but then also to have people kind of build up the next level of Grom. Like, hey, where's the next? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So,
you gotta let your book get some traction. You know what I mean? Like hit the audience a little bit. Keith, hey, scroll down to Killer Art.
Killer Art. Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Like some of the stuff I'm seeing here is just so cool. Like, look at this first page. Look at that shark. Are you shitting me? That looks so cool. Look at that.
He's one of my favorite.
That's fucking cool. Yeah. Like that's the page you're talking about with the them seeing their parent their parent figure, right?
Mm-hmm. Seeing this right before their very eyes, they see.
Yeah, man, and that villain just looks badass. Like that's very compelling right there.
Yeah, and let me just say too, everything else is on point as well. Coloring, the lettering is great.
Oh, we got Tiago Barca. He's an amazing colorist. Yeah, he's just amazing.
This is great stuff, Gilbert. I mean, his book looks awesome.
We try to get it. We tried, we try to contact IDW, try to contact Dark Horse. We put it out there, So we'll do it on our own until something happens.
Yeah, well, once you get that. I mean, you already got a big audience from the looks of it, but like once you get bigger, they can't ignore you, at that point,
And maybe then I'll just I'll just crowdfund.
Right, yeah.
I'll just
pay more money for you, yeah. But yeah, this
that's
looks
Dark
incredible.
Raider, yeah.
I can't believe
that's
Boom
really
didn't
cool too.
take this guy.
Easy.
I can't believe Boom didn't take this guy. You said you found him there, like submitting, and that's unbelievable. I would have snatched this guy up in 2 seconds too.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
but,
really
everything is too who you know, and it's just there's so much stuff involved.
Look at that rabbit though.
Yeah, rabbit's awesome.
That's
look at that rabbit though.
Yeah, she has a big. Yeah, she's.
So is she like one of? So how many people are on the team? Is it like 4? So
far, it's just 4. It's the 3 capybaras and their gunslinger gecko dad, and Festa's with them, trying to get them to like a fresh start. They want to, they want a fresh start somewhere. She's gonna hook them up, and when she's in the process of hooking them up, the bounty goes live, and she quickly turns on them right then and there.
Oh, gotcha.
She puts a gun on them. Yeah, and then we get the turtle ninjas. If you go straight down to the last panel, we got turtle ninjas in there.
Oh, awesome.
So I got my. Come on, man. I have my own. They're the Shinobi Turtles of Doom. So I'm gonna show you a nice little. Check out this little cover we have for the second issue. Yeah, this is our TMNT homage cover.
Oh, I love it, dude. That's great.
With our little 4 version of the turtles. So I love TMNT. I would love to write a TMNT story, but since I can write some Grom and I can have fun with it. And you're just seeing art. That's love right there. What you guys seeing right there, that's love. That's literally passion oozing on the page.
Yeah,
that's literally what it is.
I can feel it just by scrolling through here. Like, there was a lot of time and effort put into these pages, and these characters look cool, so. And I didn't realize that I had read something from you before this, which is the black.
Look how crazy the world is. I'm just telling you, it's just like crazy. Like, you just never know. Like, that's cool. Thank you again for supporting Blackheart Manor. That was one of my darkest stories I ever wrote. So
I like too the magazine format you kind of did with that, like like a creepy magazine.
That's what we were channeling with that one. We were channeling that throwback. So
that's great.
So even with Grom, like we have with like what we call the creator's cut, this isn't a traditional floppy. Okay, this is really large. This is kind of like a European format. Like this is really large. But we do it like that because again, it just it's more real estate. It's more comic book real estate. So I like floppies. Don't get me wrong. I love traditional floppies, but I'm like, you see the artwork. I'm like, man, this got to be big. So I'm like, we'll do these really large magazine style issues. This 8 and 3 inches by 11 by 7.
Oh wow! So almost like that's almost the same size. It looks like quality paper too. What do you charge? Like if you're at a convention, how much would you sell an issue for that?
So I would probably sell $20 an issue, and I know it's probably like boutique prices, but I mean I'm paying boutique prices for the art team. And it's a quality book that you're getting that's made outside of the margins of mainstream. I'm not Marvel, I'm not DC, but I'm giving you quality that rivals Marvel or DC on an indie level. So I mean, I would charge 20 per book. I mean, I'd probably I'd have to.
Oh, so how many pages did you say it was?
So each issues, like the episodic issues, are like 40 pages, 30 to 35 to 40 pages. But our volume 1 was 100 and about maybe 115 pages or so. The whole volume 1 in a nice big thick book. So we sold out of these. I think I had a few that I was saving for a convention. I might put them I might list them here in the campaign. But so then we had the episodic format, and then we'll do a volume that has all the bonus content in one book, and then then from there we'll probably take a pause on Grom. And we're thinking about doing a spin-off that would be done with the traditional comic book form with Gangon and the little capybara pups. And that one will be something more of an ongoing where people could read while me and Sebastian shift our direction to another project before coming back to continuing the main story in Grom.
Is that like the sword and sorcery one you were talking about?
Yeah, he has an itch for that. I have an itch for that. If you look at my resume, I've done a Western, I've done horror, I got my Saturday morning fun sci-fi here. I don't have a sword and sorcery, and I don't have a superhero story. And those are in the works.
Oh, nice.
Those are in the works.
Yeah. Nice, man.
Yeah, dude, this looks great, man. So is this featured bundle, is that all 4? You can get all 4?
So that all the Grom would be all 4, and then our 5th issue that we're working on.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that would be So you're getting a lot. Jesus Christ, you're getting a lot of Grom there.
Is this gonna be? I know it's in demand. How long are you gonna keep it in demand for?
Probably not long. Probably I don't know. I want to give it maybe another week or 2. I want to say I mean, it could leave it in demand, but then I just kind of I like the idea of just closing it out. And, people, if they missed out, don't worry. We will come back.
We'll come back with all the other volumes.
Just because shipping out Yeah, shipping out these books is very, when you ship out 4 of these big bad boys, that's a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
it's a lot. I mean, as much as I
love the weird size too, it probably.
I had to be so
obnoxious
with that, right? I should have just went with traditional comic book size. I just went with the oversized, but yeah. So I'll probably leave it for another, maybe but to the end of the month, and then we'll just close it out.
Yeah, I'll try when I get paid again. I'll see if I can snag this. If not, I'll catch you on the next campaign.
Yeah. No worries.
This looks great, man. I and like I said, I read the Blackheart, and I really like that. So I'm assuming I would love this. Just because I don't want to.
I rarely ever make guarantees, but I guarantee when you read this whole story, you'll love it. Awesome. I don't make guarantees. I rarely do, guys, but.
Well, you know where I'm coming from, so
yeah, it hits hard.
This is my wheelhouse, so I think I would love this book. So, but it's good to see people doing like stuff kind of inspired by Saturday morning cartoons. Besides me, and some of the other books, there's a few out there that are doing books kind of like this, but there's not a lot though. There's not a
IDW, I think they had like a G.I. Joe run. This was literally only 4 issues just to go that they're not even doing ongoing in the Saturday morning, but it's literally Saturday morning adventures G.I. Joe. And
That's great.
They do have the same thing with the TMNT, and it's kind of like the art style of the cartoon.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
As a comic. So I'm waiting for that to be trade paperback. I already got the G.I. Joe one, the TMNT one. I'm snatching that up. So
yeah, we need that. We need stuff like that. Is it written in that style too of like a Saturday morning cartoon?
I believe so, because they're going with the artwork. Like it almost looks carbon copy from like the art style. Literally looks like from the Saturday morning cartoons of the 80s.
That's cool.
The late 80s and 90s. Yeah.
As long as Cobra's like doing some kind of terrorist act that's just wacky and weird,
That's what I'm curious about. I'm hoping it's at least fun, not dumbed down, but still kind of edgy, but still Saturday morning fun. You gotta have a good mix in there. So
they
need to be some terrorist stuff going on if it's Cobra. Right? It has to be done well.
Well, you need stuff like them, like trying to take over a pyramid or something, like something wacky like that, or what I mean?
You're good, man. You're onto this stuff. Yeah, that works.
But even like if you look back in the day, there were some cartoons that did have that edge. I mean, if you look at Batman the Animated Series, X-Men, you know what I mean? Like there was a little bit of a mean streak there.
The first episode of X-Men, it felt like a Terminator episode with the Sentinels hunting them down. It's just incredible. I'm like, Jesus Christ, we were spoiled, man.
Yeah, we were. We didn't know how good we had it then until like it hit 90s, and then there's nothing. Absolutely nothing.
We were spoiled, yeah.
But yeah, so where else can people find you? Like, let me put this link into the chat. For people in case they want to back this.
Guys, you could definitely read issue 1. I have the link on that campaign. It says read Grum 1 for free. You could literally just read the whole first issue. Yeah, just to see if you like it, which again, I'll guarantee that you're going to want to keep on reading. And yeah, just go to GillyWritesComics.com. You could always see the latest crowdfunding campaign I got going on. And it's, keep it simple, because Twitter, I have my tag on Twitter. I think it's Gilbert Deltrez, not Gilly Writes Comics. So, you could follow me there and on Instagram as well. But I don't interact too much on Instagram. Twitter, I'll just randomly put stuff. I feel like it's like a shouting board. Like I'll just, hey, I'm watching Dragon Ball. I put up there, and people are like, yo, I'm watching that one too. Or hey, I just played this video game. I feel like Twitter can just throw whatever I'm on, on Twitter. Like sometimes you can't put that on Facebook, or you could, or. So I'm like, Twitter, I could just, whatever I'm doing, I'll just put on Twitter. Hey,
I throw a bunch of dumb stuff on there,
I'll
too.
Just be so random on Twitter. It's just like, and I feel like I'll get more interaction there, even so, because I'm like, that's it. Whatever I'm doing, I'll put it on Twitter. So guys can follow me there at Gilbert Deltrez or GillyWritesComics.com.
So is Gilly Writes Comics, is that sort of your imprint, like that you started?
So I've been so up and down with this crap, right? Like I had, when I first started with Under the Flesh, I had Escape Comics, and that logo was incredible. But then with Under the Flesh, we got up to issue 3. The artist there, he got hired by Marvel, and he was inundated with Marvel work, so he couldn't commit to Under the Flesh. So I literally put it on the virtual shelf for years, because he was my first love. So I don't want to switch to another artist. I'm naive. I didn't think like, let me just switch to another artist. Like I literally didn't think that. and I literally had it on the shelf. And that's something as a creator that I need closure on. And I just realized recently I got to get another artist to close it out, because that same artist, JL, when he did have work free, he didn't want to do Under the Flesh. He wanted to write. He wanted to do more Lovecraft stuff, and that's when we got the Deep Dark, and that's when we teamed up with Marinus Reninga, and we brought his story to life with Blackheart Manor. So it's like, man, you know, like, so then I did Lair with Sebastian Navas, and our label we had was called Headshot Horror, and the idea was these one shots that are horror. You know what I mean? I figured like a horror movie, like it just Headshot Horror. But then I didn't do nothing with that, because after Headshot Horror, I jumped to Pistolera, which was the Western, and then it's like, okay, we went to Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. So I'm like, you know what? I'm Gilly. I write damn comics. Gilly writes comics. That's going to be the damn imprint. And when I do bring my superhero story, it will be Escape Comics, and I'll throw Gilly Writes Comics on there just for whatever, just in case Escape Comics ever gets any value down the road.
Right. For consistency.
For consistency.
For consistency. We like continuity in comics.
At least for that. So it's like
continuity. Continuity gives us chub.
Yeah, man. So that's it. So at least if it gets some value, I know DC, they bought Milestone Media. And they had some cool stories, and then they shelved most of the stuff, then they bring it back. I was like, hey, if Escape Comics could show it has some kind of value over the years, I want it to be connected to Gilly Writes Comics. But that's it, man. I mean, just trying to brand yourself is a challenge. Let this just be out there for people. It's crazy.
It totally is. And like I have no magic bullet for that either, you know.
There isn't one.
Like Johnny, what your imprint is? What Xiao J, right?
Shoei Productions. It's purposely hard to say, and really it's just an acronym for everybody who was working on our original like film team back in the day. So I just kept that name, kept that imprint, and then just rolled it over to doing comics. So
yeah, might as well. I mean, if you started with it, you know, like I've been under my own for years, which is Reckless Sidekick, and
like what Gilly said, I really like so I have a little robot logo for Shoei Productions, and I really like that logo. So like Gilly said, he's like, you know, you really like it, you don't want to let that go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, put that on something else. You know, like that's a good thing with imprint. We can always have an imprint. So whatever sticks, okay, that'll stick. We'll use that for that, you know?
Right. Yeah. And then, got some good comments here. Dr. Mass says, great looking book.
Appreciate that.
Continuity is king.
Fuck yeah, it is. It's what made the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So true.
And then he said, good sword and sorcery, really underrepresented now. Yeah,
I think it's getting popular in indie comics. We see a lot of sword and sorcery books popping up. It's like that's the thing right now, you know.
The new thing. Like, I think the indie community's finally over wrestling comics, but now
now it's sword and sorcery. Well, we got what former guests from the Bards.
Oh yes, yeah. What was the name of that? Yeah, Bards.
And then Grant, not ringing, but Grant. Side Quest, which is a sword and sorcery book.
Oh yes, yep.
Sword and sorcery. That's it.
Johnny, you still there? You were roboing a little bit.
Yeah, did I freeze up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was roboing a little bit when you.
Okay.
Dr. Mass asked
tough connection over
Mascots imprint will be now. I'll probably go back to my Reckless Sidekick Productions imprint for Mighty Mascots going forward. But I'm thinking I may incorporate a corner box, which I wasn't doing, and then I may redo the logo for Reckless Sidekick Productions. And like my old logo was like just a fat guy in like a superhero comic.
Reckless Sidekick.
Because the whole idea was like, not only is he reckless in battle, but he's reckless with his weight. So,
it rolls off the tongue too. Good. So, Reckless Sidekick comic.
Yeah, I loved it. And you abbreviated it. It's like RSP, which is like a cool abbreviation. So it always works.
Reckless
out really
Sidekick sounds like J.J. Abrams' thing is Bad Robot. Right?
Yeah,
Reckless Sidekick.
It has that kind of like
thing.
Yeah, like I remember reading it, and I was reading a comic, and then one of the characters said he had a reckless sidekick, and I was like, I like that, so I wrote it down.
Cool.
I don't know why it clicked with me as I was reading that, but I was like, I like that. It sounded like a good, name. So before that, we had, when we were doing Hero Envy, it was like Glint of Hope Productions. But I never really liked that. I just was like, I don't know why. It just felt like kind of, I don't want to say pretentious, but it felt like kind of like, I don't know. It just didn't roll off my tongue, but Reckless Sidekick just works for me. But anyways, we've been going for 90 minutes, so I'm gonna just start wrapping.
Time flies
this up.
right
We
by.
usually go,
Damn,
we shoot for an hour, but
yeah.
like once you get talking and especially
stream, guys.
if Saturday morning cartoons come up, forget about it. Like I'm here,
That's our wheelhouse.
Yeah, it is. It's our wheelhouse. So, Gilbert, let us know anything you got coming up, where people can find you, and
Yeah, so guys, again, thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys,
Yeah,
Johnny and Keith. It was fun. And guys, if you definitely check out my stuff, GillyWritesComics.com. I will be continuing Grom. We do have a Sword and Sorcery in the works. And I do have a anime-inspired comic that I'm also working on. It's called My Yakuza Papa Demon Kita. Demon Killer. So, anime is such a big influence, and manga's hitting it, flying off the shelf. So I want to do like a manga-inspired tale, but in traditional American comic book form, because American comic books for me still kick ass. And so again, thank you guys so much for checking me out and for definitely talking comic geek stuff with you, and looking forward to the next one. I mean, now that I have stuff coming out, I think I'll just shoot you guys whenever you got something, and we'll just talk about anything.
We'd love to have you back, man, for sure.
Try to, as soon as you know you're going to do something in like a few months, reach out to us, because
I'll hit you up
we
beforehand, because I know you
so
book
far
crazy.
ahead now. Like
that's good too. That's a good way to do it too.
Yeah, and we only go live every other week, because both of us work full time, and you know how it is. You want to work on your comics more. You don't want to necessarily be on YouTube all the time.
I know the grind.
So. You know the grind.
But again, thanks for having me. And again, an hour and a half. So we got chemistry, all three of us.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
definitely looking forward to the next one.
Johnny, what do you got going on? Anything before we close this out?
God, I have too much going on, but not enough to try to spend to remember it. So I don't want to bore everybody. I just want to say thank you, Gilly, for coming on, taking the time out of your day. Real cool getting to know you. Real cool finding out more about Grom and kind of your creative endeavors. And definitely come back for the future. And
looking forward.
That's about it. Everybody check out Mighty Mascots. Check out Grom. Check out Surrounded by Death on Global Comics. And be kind to one another.
Yeah, definitely. And I got to reiterate what Johnny said. Thank you for coming on the show, Gilbert. Nice to meet you. And it's kind of funny that I had read something by you that I didn't even realize, which is great.
That was cool.
For as big of a pond as indie comics are, it goes to show how small it is too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, thank you for coming on. Check out Grom. Check out Mighty Mascots if you have any money left over, and support indie comics, and most importantly,
there's always room for Jello.
Read indie comics. So with that, we'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't know who the guest is. I always forget.
Is it Trevor? Maybe. I
write the names down and I instantly forget. so until the weekend before.
Yeah, I think it's Trevor, my buddy Trevor.
Awesome.
I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't even know I had to stream today until you had tweeted me. I'm like, I got something going on. Like, when did that happen? Like, I'm like, Tuesday. I'm like, I'm already in. I can't say no.
Yeah.
I guess I got to commit. And it's just
we
crazy.
appreciate you taking the time to do it, though, bro.
I always worry about that, Gilly, because we book so far ahead that people tend to forget that they agreed to.
It's always a confidence booster when the guest tweets that day. We know, okay, they're in.
All right,
no, that works. That works. You guys are like, hey, you're on with Gilly. I'm like, what? I saw that tweet. I'm like, what? I'm like, all right. Then I saw the message. You gave me a little image. And so I tweeted that image and shit out. Hey, I'll be on with this. So it works. So that system works. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm so aloof on Twitter and messaging. Like, I really am. I'll tweet. But when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm in. And the way you guys presented it works. So the system works.
Thank you for coming on. All right, everybody.
Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, everybody, for watching, as always, and thank you for supporting Mighty Mascots and in the indie comics. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Read comics, and we'll talk to you later. All right.
Out.